listen in, time to hear from.
Nope.
This the War Report coming live every Tuesday at 7 with Steve, Cat, Ryan, Amanda, and Eric. And the voice of NEW, Vince Berry. Hitting all the topics like a clothesline flurry. Turn up your speakers and hear them out. You can listen from your car, even on your couch. They too raw, who NXT? Handing out Smackdowns, follow on IG. Plus, it's sponsored by Tag Me a Date. Go to YouTube and sub now for every update. It's all wrestling here. No safe space. Now listen in. Time to hear from some of the greats.
Who's it gonna be?
You think you know me?
No way. Oh my! You gotta be kidding me. The rated R superstar! Edge is here!
So, of course, the big story. Everybody thought, well, I don't know, there were different schools of thought on this. So not everybody, but some people thought he was done. Some people thought that maybe he was being a little secretive, and he kept saying.
I'll say this. My wonderful wife flew me and herself to Atlanta, wow. Which at that moment seemed that it was his last match. And I got to say I was there. I got to be there, a part of, his last match.
Right.
For the record, I am not pissed off by any means.
Right?
I mean, this is to see 9 years to be able to come back after being told he can never do it again, whether it's a good idea or not. I mean, at the end of the day, it's his decision to make. He wants to go out on his terms, and I sure as hell am ready to take the ride with him.
Oh, yeah.
Number 21, and he made it to the Final Four. I mean, he looked great. He looks older. It's been 9 years. It's going to happen, but he looked great. Edge is back, ladies and gentlemen. Edge is fucking back. And the Rumble
looked in great shape.
Looked great. And the Rumble was the pay-per-view, not just the Rumble, I thought was fantastic. So I think we should definitely start with the Rumble. And then, of course, we're going to have to talk about Raw. We got to talk about the Jericho Cruise. There's a lot to cover. But the Royal Rumble, which, is always, for me, one of my favorite pay-per-views of the year. It's the one I look forward to just as much as WrestleMania. It delivered, in my opinion. I think all the way through. Overall feelings... Vince, what are you thinking?
Yeah, I think it was. Kat said it was a solid 7 or an 8 on Facebook, and then Edge put it up to a 10, which for that segment automatically, yes, that's a big time 10. I'm a proponent. I don't know. It's so funny because I look at this pay-per-view. I always go, why do we need these matches in between? I just want the Rumble. So to have 2 Rumbles, and both of the Rumbles were we'll get into the women's one, the finish of that for a second. Nothing's perfect in this world, but I enjoyed the women's Rumble a lot, minus the finish. And I enjoyed the men's Rumble a lot, aside from the beginning. So
see now, and we're gonna talk about that for sure, because you and I have a difference of opinion. I want to see, overall what we're all thinking, but we kicked it off. Forget about the pre-show kickoff shit, whatever.
Yeah.
But the actual.
Sorry, guys.
Yeah, I mean, listen, it is what it is. But
one of the guys is fucking suspended too, so it doesn't even matter.
Well, right, and let's be honest, they're keeping the belt on him because he's a Flair.
Woo!
But well, no, and I love Andrade, so whatever. It obviously had to be something a little minor, still have to do what you got to do, but something minor where they're going to keep the belt on him. It's fine.
They did it for Reigns too that one time.
Right. So we kicked it off with what was the first match of the pay-per-view?
It was the Falls Count Anywhere match.
It was the Falls Count Anywhere match with the Roman Reigns.
Yes.
And Baron Corbin.
Right.
I actually missed that match because I was busy finishing up getting dinner ready. So what did you guys think of that match? Obviously Roman took it, but
yeah. Kat will be on. We just got a message. So I feel like it was a match that went 21 minutes, and then if you add in the entrances, probably rounded out to about 30 minutes. And didn't need to be that long. It's the Royal Rumble. Get in, get out. Move on to the Rumble match. I don't think anybody was buying this pay-per-view, or how old am I buying this pay-per-view? I don't know if people were watching this live stream that they pay monthly for, specifically for this Falls Count Anywhere match. It wasn't bad. It was just like...
Was what it was. People are just getting tired of the feud.
It's absolutely, and okay, the one knock, because it was, again, it's decent. It wasn't like they went out there and stunk the joint up, but this ties in. Baron Corbin got thrown into a they didn't even call it a porta potty because I guess that's a brand name. So they called this. They was thrown into a structure. He was thrown into a chemical toilet, whatever you want to call it. He came. Okay, for context, Braun Strowman threw Kevin Owens into a chemical toilet and knocked it over, and Kevin Owens came out covered in blue stuff because they use the blue goo to trap all of the waste product that comes out. Baron Corbin came out unscathed. No poo-poo, no pee-pee, no blue stuff. Nobody went, oh man, he smells funny because he just
No
went
purple stuff, no Sunny D.
Right, yes. Thank you. That was my only knock. I'm like, if you're gonna do that, and I understand why. They didn't want him wrestling in blue gunk
and bringing that back,
for another 10 minutes, and then there was still another half of a match to go. But just don't do. You did.
Spot wasn't necessary,
right? Whether that was there or wasn't there.
The match wasn't necessary.
Yes, also, but they had the spear on top of the dugout because they were at the fuck the Astros. By the way, everybody watching, fuck the Astros. They're a bunch of cheaters. And anyway, this big spear was on top of the dugout, which that's cool. But yeah, if that's the big spot, don't. And there was an Uso dive. There was a spear on the dugout. You didn't need the porta potty, especially if you're not gonna. How many times have they covered somebody in poop with a porta potty and they didn't do it? This is the one time they didn't cover somebody in poop. Austin did it. DX did it several times. It happened to Kevin Owens. It happens here in no poop. I don't know. That was the only criticism because whatever it was Baron Corbin, Roman Reigns. I'm not going to sit there and bitch about it any more than I'm going to have to.
So check this out. Moving on, the next match was the Women's Royal Rumble.
Yeah.
So, which, I had said right away, the Women's Royal Rumble had to be one or two because you got to split up the Rumbles. And I agree that they left the Rumble as the main event because that's how it should be.
There was a reason they had the women be the main event. What, the first time they did it?
Right.
Yeah.
This was the first time. Yeah.
And it's important, and their whole Ronda deal and all that. Yeah. So I get it, and it's fair if they want to alternate. 1 year the men's is first, 1 year's the women. I get it. That's fine, but.
No, but I was more referring to I like how the title match wasn't after the last Rumble. I'm glad that they went on.
No. I hate that
because they've done that before.
Oh, it's such a wet fart. Nobody gives a shit about the title match after the Rumble.
Exactly. So, but the Women's Rumble. So I enjoyed the Women's Rumble. I think that as much as I love Santino and I love that was a great surprise. with Santina. But I don't think it should have taken. I don't think it should have taken up a spot, especially since he eliminated himself pretty quickly.
But not number 29.
Well,
if you want to do it at number
3.
Just do something that's too stupid and early, and then it's silly.
Get it over with. Yeah.
Then I
I
said
and 30th spots are saved for important people.
And not for nothing, the funnier thing would have been to have him then come out as Santino in the men's Rumble, which they didn't do, but that's another story. So I thought that was a little strange. I did not know that Sasha wasn't medically cleared, so I was shocked that she wasn't in it.
They've been keeping that on the down low, though, because I haven't. That was the first I heard of it. Was when Ryan Satin or whoever it was reported on it after the Rumble happened.
And I do think one thing that did take away this year from the Women's Rumble is that going into it, we only had 5 names announced. You know what I mean? Like, you knew in the men's at that time there were like 3 or 4 open spots, outside of whoever, I don't know. It was just very strange the way they advertised it. But
it wasn't the same kind of build.
Right.
It was just weird. Yeah.
But I will say overall, I did enjoy the Women's Rumble. I did say Charlotte was going to win. In my opinion, that was something that she hadn't done yet. So it was kind of, and I was right. I didn't have a problem with that. A lot of people did. I actually don't think I would have been happy if Shayna Baszler won it. And apparently that was the original plan, that Baszler was going to win.
Yeah, I would have been okay with Baszler winning. I would have been okay. Honestly, like
that's who my pick was.
I picked Sasha, not knowing about the injury thing, but still, I think Sasha was a solid bet and would have been a solid.
I had Sasha going the longest.
Right, yeah, because I mean, the last time she pretty much was the Iron Woman of that match. She put in a lot of work, directed a lot of traffic, got people where they needed to go for their spots, etc. So I thought she was a shoo-in. Instead, we got a nice surprise of Bianca Belair.
Yes, that was a nice surprise, and she dominated for a while.
I mean, she eliminated Alexa Bliss. She eliminated a number 8. She eliminated 8, and Shayna also eliminated 8. So they both currently hold the record for most single eliminations in a single Rumble for the women. We have to differentiate now, and I won't get too into the weeds with this, but NXT, they've decided to take the NXT women's title and take the word women away from it, so it's just the NXT title.
I don't understand that.
And then when I was watching Worlds Collide, and they kept saying the NXT title is on the line, and it's Rhea Ripley, and I'm like, no, what do we? Every time they mention the NXT title, I had to be like, which title?
That's the thing. That's the stupid part about it is it's confusing.
Yeah, that's the only reason anybody would complain is because it's confusing.
What's wrong with saying it's the women's? I don't understand that.
Right.
Yeah.
You are women.
Right. Even the UFC does it. Like, so the UFC has their pound for pound rankings. They used to have a top 10 pound for pound, regardless of weight class or gender. You were ranked 1 through 10. So Amanda Nunes is up there with like number 3 or whatever. John Jones is number 2, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. The UFC just decided over this weekend, around the same time the NXT people decided to remove the word women's and then put the 2 titles equally in their mind. The UFC has decided to split their pound for pound rankings because they found that it was unfair to the women because they were not being ranked as highly as maybe they should. Amanda Nunes is the number 1 pound for pound women's fighter in the world, and she should be acknowledged as such. But she would never be the number 1 fighter when you have to compare her to Stipe Miocic or John Jones. So it was just never going to happen. So they thought that it was more representative of their pound for pound rankings to have the men's now have a pound for pound top 10 and the women's have a pound for pound top 10. NXT went the other way. I don't know. Again, of course, they're going, a bunch of white guys complaining about whatever. All right.
Yeah. It has nothing to do with fucking. People are.
Yeah, it has. This is not a gender, race, whatever thing. This is a confusing thing.
Yeah.
I'm all for things if they make sense. This to me just doesn't make sense.
No,
I mean that's really what it boils down to. It just at the end of the day, I was very much a fan of losing the Diva title
Yes,
and calling them
absolutely.
women wrestlers because that's what they are.
Right.
Or
No, I
women
agree.
superstars, however you want to call it. But I don't understand why now we should get rid of. I don't know.
Yeah. So anyway, the women's record for the Royal Rumble is 8 eliminations. Shayna Baszler and Bianca Belair tied for that. Do we need Kelly back? I mean, when you're bringing people back,
I'll tell you what, though, Molly Holly, and I was not expecting her to be Mighty Molly in that.
no, I wasn't expecting Mighty Molly, but I had an inkling. I put her down as one of my picks.
I like that. That was actually, that was one of my surprise picks.
I also had Miss Jackie, but hey.
I'll tell you my favorite spot, the Mandy Otis spot. That was my.
Yeah,
That was
fun.
hilarious.
That was fun.
I mean, Otis is a home run.
Otis was laying outside.
Oh, I know.
He had been under the ring or something. I don't know. It was the funniest thing.
Yeah, I don't know why he was just laying there on the outside, but hey, it was a good
But
spot.
like we didn't see it with the camera work, and then all of a sudden they show, and we see Otis' big stomach. And
But then they do it again. They had the nice little twist on it there.
Yeah,
Where
that was a very entertaining spot.
yeah, but then Mandy, was that her name?
Mandy Rose.
Yes, man. Not but who's the other one? Sonya. So Mandy got caught by Otis, and then because Sonya hit her accidentally, so she took the big bump. Otis caught her, but then who was it? Shayna? Somebody else threw Sonya Deville, and he had to try and catch both of them, and he took the big bump, and that's how they got eliminated.
Yeah.
There were some good spots in that match, and then Naomi. So I like that they used some surprises of like people who had been injured or not on TV and came back, but like Kelly, do we need that? Do we need Tamina? Like we kind of assumed. I assumed Nia Jax was going to be back, but she wasn't.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
And again, Kelly could have been. It's kind of frustrating when you look at who number 29 was, because it was Santina, and then like Kelly's in there, and you could have used those spots for somebody else who was a little more. I don't want to say deserving, but we'll say it, deserving of that spot. It's the Royal Rumble. There's only 30 spots. They should be used to their fullest extent. And I feel like the number 29 spot being wasted on a Santina comedy spot.
Yeah.
There's
And
a better opportunity for something.
if you look at it, the women's Rumble was dominated by NXT.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They
There's
had
a lot of NXT presence in that
mostly
match.
NXT participants. Tony Storm got in there. No Rhea Ripley, which
I was surprised by that.
Yeah, but that ties into what they're saying, what the scuttlebutt is of Charlotte, our eventual winner, who eliminated Shayna last. Charlotte may be challenging Rhea Ripley for the NXT, not women's, just the NXT championship.
You think so?
That's besides the point.
That's what's going around, and technically, it is the third brand, and it's not the developmental brand anymore. It's its own world championship. It can be one of the selections.
You know what it is for me? It's just that the reason I had a problem with Charlotte is because we've seen Charlotte versus Becky or Bayley a million fucking times.
But they're always great matches, though.
Yeah, but it's not interesting anymore.
I don't know.
The one thing that I was looking at was like with Charlotte winning, it was almost like, are they going to do a rematch with Asuka, because Asuka could beat Becky, and then it would be a rematch of that very good. I enjoyed that match at New Orleans a couple years ago in WrestleMania 34. That would be an opportunity for Charlotte to give Asuka her win back, but it's Charlotte Flair. She's not going to give anybody their win.
I would have even preferred like Asuka winning the title off of Becky, and then Kairi Sane winning the Rumble, and then Asuka versus Kairi.
That would have been interesting.
The whole pirate theme at Mania, it would make sense. But
yeah, that's unfortunately, I don't think.
I've also heard a rumor about, and this you're going to find really stupid. About Charlotte being like, oh, since the Kabuki Warriors keep messing with her, she's going to challenge for the tag titles with I mean, that's stupid.
No,
that's not going to happen.
That's terrible.
I know.
I'm
just saying it's really stupid to even.
Right.
No, I agree. That would be horrible.
Whoever thought that one up was silly. But I like, and I know, so Charlotte's not a bad wrestler, but it's just one of those things where it's like,
Enough already.
They went with
Sometimes. I'm
Roman
sorry.
Reigns so many times they wore it out. They're starting to wear out Charlotte Flair. It's like if
I don't
she's-
know.
They've been
I'm
wearing
not.
out
I don't
Charlotte.
have a problem with it. I think Charlotte. Listen, Charlotte had to win a Rumble.
Well,
You know what I
yes,
mean? It's
that's
got to
it.
be on her resume. So at the end of the day, you know what I mean? Now she won
We're
it.
just getting it out of the way now. Yeah,
Right. You know what it was going to happen, so do it now.
I'll be honest. It would be nice to see her without a championship for a fucking year.
That's not gonna happen. Come on now.
That would
6 months.
that would
max.
not be fair to Flair.
Fuck
This is
Flair.
not gonna happen. Yeah. So.
Charlotte and her sloppy ass moonsaults.
Damn, dude, that's a little harsh.
Oh, her moonsaults suck. They're terrible. She never lands them
Oh my
correctly.
god. Stiff.
So,
Oh, man.
It's like her tits.
so the women's Rumble was good.
I like the women's rumble. I thought.
Anyway, moving on.
What was
Overall, yeah, women's rumble was very good.
Yeah.
What was the next match?
Was it it wasn't the women's championship. It would have been it was the WWE Universal Championship between was it the strap match that was next?
Was that next?
Bray and Daniel Bryan?
Well, fuck it. It doesn't really matter. So the strap match.
yeah.
Let's talk about it. I have grown to not give a shit about a strap match. I think that as a stipulation sucks. At least if you're going to do a traditional where you have to hit all four corners, all right, maybe. But
people were complaining about that online. They
It's
didn't,
it's no Piper Valentine,
you know what I mean? But overall, I thought that was a great match. I enjoyed it. Even Daniel Bryan kicking out of the whatever the fuck he calls it. But it's a pay-per-view. I could see that happening. I didn't have a problem with that. I thought the match was done well. I'm glad that the Fiend obviously and they got rid of the fucking light.
Yeah,
That's the biggest thing about it. That was the best part about it.
Yeah, I'm not sure how they would have managed that.
Apparently, Bray's been pushing for them himself. He hated it also, apparently.
Well, I mean, it can't be easy to see and wrestle while you're bathed in all red light like that.
Yeah, nor could the fans see it.
Right. If we couldn't see, they're having just as hard of a time, and all we've got to do is watch. They've got to work.
Yeah.
So
They had a fucking cell a few months ago,
yeah, the red cell with the red lights.
Oh my God, what the fuck?
Yeah, no, it was a pretty good match.
I'd argue that the Fiend is even scarier with.
Yeah, like some of the idea is if you're watching a horror movie, the spookier parts are when the villain or the Jason or Freddy or whoever, you can't really see them and they're obscured, and like that's true to an extent, but there's a point in every horror, whether it's Alien or Freddy or Jason or whatever horror movie, there's a point where instead of being in the shadows, they come out and they attack you and they attack the main characters, and that's where we're at now. We know who the Fiend is. We know what he looks like. He's got his face on his face and his face on his belt. We know what he looks like. So the hiding and obscuring, there's a time and a place for it, but the final confrontation, which is what the matches should be considered, shouldn't be obscured because that doesn't make any sense. It's the and this is kind of why the Hell in a Cell thing went down. Not just the terrible finish with the referee calling it off, but it was the red light. It was there was all kinds of things working against it, and the red light was one of them. So to obscure the action from the audience, the paying audience who paid money to sit in the stands or to watch the show online, it's a disservice. So I'm glad they rethought that, especially for a big pay-per-view like the Royal Rumble. The one thing did you notice when they went outside? See, one of the problems of the strap match is, and I know it's the idea, is that you're tethered to the other person. So there's not a lot of leeway. You're working 5 feet or 10 feet, whatever the length of the strap is. That's it. You're not getting out of range. But there was a point where they got dumped outside, and Daniel Bryan's down selling, and I think Bray whips him. And somebody in the crowd goes, yowie wowie. And the Fiend, because he's wearing this mask, you can't see his emotions. You just see him turn with his shoulders in his head, and he goes, yeah. And he looked at the guy, and he goes, yeah. And then he goes back to whipping him. It's like, that's the kind of shit that you want to see. And that wouldn't have happened if there was a red light. That moment wouldn't have been as nearly as cool or even possibly happened if there was a red light. So, no complaints. Right guy went over.
Yeah, they did it right. And Daniel Bryan, took it to him too. I mean, he did his thing.
He and that's the thing. Everybody's putting up. You got to be able to put up a fight against the Fiend. You're still going to lose. I mean, that's the idea until. Well, we'll get to that too. So until maybe WrestleMania, I guess everybody's going to put up a fight before eventually losing. Which is again, it's a typical horror movie thing. You try and kill Jason, he sits up. You try and kill Freddy, he comes back. You have to have Corey Feldman come in and kill him finally at the end of the movie or whatever it is. You know what I mean? You need that one guy who figured it out, or that one girl who I know how to beat Freddy. I know how to beat Jason. I know how to beat the Fiend. They figure it out, and that's the one that gets the job done. Everybody else gets close. Everybody a little closer. Seth Rollins got a little closer every time, but he couldn't do it. Daniel Bryan got closer, but he couldn't do it. Somebody's going to figure out what it is, whether it's the lantern or a light change or something. There's going to be something like with the Undertaker's urn where the Fiend's that's going to cause the Fiend to lose.
Randy Orton burned his house down once, so
yeah, that was pretty shitty of him, wasn't
it? So
Randy Orton, we'll get to Randy Orton too.
Yeah, we'll talk about that. So what?
I think the Bailey Lacey match.
Oh, Bailey Lacey, yeah.
I thought it was a great match.
I can't watch Lacey Evans. I can't.
Yeah, it was okay.
I don't see anything wrong with her.
I hate her. I can't stand her.
I don't get it.
I think she needed more time in developmental.
She's gotten worlds better though.
She has, but I think it would have been better for her to come out a little more polished first when you first see her, rather than having to now
I think
we're a year later.
Off NXT way too soon.
Yeah, but because
I didn't even like her in NXT, to be honest.
But she's improved. I'm not saying she's lighting the world on fire. But
in ring, she's mediocre at best. I think. I'm sorry.
But she's got this designing women gimmick, which I think that's what's funny to me is she's got this Southern Belle. She's Liberty Belle from Glow, and they just did it with no irony, no sarcasm. That's her. They took Liberty Belle from Glow and just made her a WWE character.
I didn't watch the match because of my feelings, obviously, but I also heard bad things about the match too. Like heard it was like a little some bullshit. Like nobody.
It ended very abruptly to me.
That was the only thing I would say is that it ended abruptly.
Was there a thing with Lacey's daughter or something?
Oh, they
right here.
Well, yeah, she was ringside, so they had a little moment, but and that's
she was just
typical.
like a little mini me with her little hat and shit. They've got a commercial. Did you see the breakfast sausage commercial?
Yeah.
Oh my God. And Lacey Evans is like cooking and some thing like Corey Graves and some stuffed animal mascot thing are trying to like eat the sausage, and God, it's all very strange. And the daughter's there, and I almost thought it was like one of those fake like a Firefly Funhouse commercial or something. Like it was just going to get more and more bizarre, but nope. This is a real thing that a company paid money for, and now Lacey Evans is slinging breakfast sausage.
That's funny.
I thought it was fake. I thought it was going to be a fake commercial. I don't know what I was expecting. But yeah, it was okay. It wasn't, am I going to remember it a week from now? No. But, it happened. The next one was the
Liv Morgan and Lana. They had a match.
Oh yeah, I almost forgot about that.
Oh, they did?
Yeah.
Wasn't it on Raw last night?
Wait, was that Raw?
That was Raw. Yeah.
They had a thing in the Rumble though. They beat the shit out of each other in the Rumble.
Yeah.
They eliminated each other, right?
Oh, right. That's what it was then.
And Bob Lashley and Rusev They
got into a scuffle in the parking lot.
right. They got removed from the. I think they realized that they had like 30-something guys that all said they were going to be in the Royal Rumble, and they're like, "Well, we have only 30 spots. We got to figure out what to do for some of these people who said they're going to be in it." Like Heavy Machinery said they were going to be in it, and they weren't.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah.
OC weren't supposed to be in it, but they were.
Yeah. So yeah, the Liv Lana thing was from Monday, but oh well. Becky and
Becky
Asuka.
Asuka.
That was a good match.
She missed it herself.
Yeah.
I was wondering how they were going to get out of that, and it ended up being a thing where she
missed.
she missed. Yeah, she got like kicked in the mouth while she was trying to.
And it got in her.
Yeah, and
her face was full of it. As she
there's nothing we can say that is PG at this point. When we, she took a shot to the face, and she was covered. Oh man. Yeah, and again, it's for me the matches at the Royal Rumble that aren't the Royal Rumble, they're there. It's fine. I want to watch the Rumble match. Like that's why I'm here.
The only time I could think of that I really cared about a big match was not the Rumble, was that Angle Benoit match at that one Rumble.
Was that like the ultimate submission?
Benoit got the standing ovation afterwards.
Yeah, those guys wrestled their asses off.
So the men's Royal Rumble.
Yeah.
I thought it was fantastic. We got to start with Brock Lesnar and how that was done. Now, obviously, I know we don't see the same. Now, for me, it is something that has never been done. And if it was going to happen, Brock is the guy to do it. Right. So
that is true.
For me, I thought it was well done. I enjoyed it, and then I also enjoyed how he was eliminated. I don't know. Give me your thing, because I know you guys don't agree with that.
Well, I just think it could have gone a little less, like 13 guys, and he if it was going to be 13 guys, it could have been 13 Zack Ryders and Eliases that got thrown out.
I mean, to be fair, it wasn't a lot of like big names that I mean, I could without the Morrison being,
Morrison got dropped.
Brock's reaction when Keith Lee came out was awesome.
Oh, that was
because you could clearly see Brock go, "Who the fuck is that guy?" Like, that
he goes,
was
big boy,
big boy, yeah. And I like that, and I like their interaction. But again, like if you're trying to build up a new guy, and Brock has that reaction to him, and he's like, "Oh, I'm just gonna throw him out of the ring," and like John Morrison, "Hey, welcome back. We're gonna throw you out." Kofi, you were the champion, and then Brock beat you in 8 seconds. We're just gonna throw you out of the ring. It's like some of these guys are just like.
I'll tell you what though, and it's probably because of Paul Heyman, but I really enjoyed the Shelton Benjamin spot.
Oh yeah, no, that was good. I mean, listen, if they did this,
I am so proud of you.
If they did that for like the first 8 to 10 entrants. Okay. Once it got to 13, I'm like, all right, this is starting to wear out. It's like the novelty was wearing off.
I'll tell you, I called number 2. I called number 2 as Elias.
Nice.
My pick.
I will say this though. There was another, I thought, great moment.
Yes. Hell yes. I was so happy.
And apparently he's back, although already losing. Like, how do you lose your first match back? But whatever.
Yeah, but it's the Rey Mysterio. It's not like,
Yeah.
Yeah, but I guess it shouldn't have been Rey Mysterio.
We had a 2009 Smackdown match on Raw last night.
Yeah. But so glad to see MVP back. He looks great. So that was a nice surprise.
He was representing Wakanda.
That's right. And then the next night he had the Punisher gear on.
Yeah, that was definitely not somebody that I expected. Like I had an idea that Edge was going to be there, but no clue at all about MVP.
Yeah, that was a well-kept secret. I had seen something like somebody was flying a drone around and taking pictures of the Titantron before the show, and I was trying to stay away from it, but one of them was a picture of MVP's.
One of them was Victoria, so that's why I put her on there, but she didn't come out.
I think that was a red herring because they didn't want to put the Santino one up.
Oh.
You know what I mean? Like I think every other picture that somebody took was somebody that ended up entering in the Rumble, except for Victoria. So I feel like they did that as a swerve, bro.
Overall, though, MVP, that was a nice surprise, MVP.
Yeah, he just it toss you out too. My one really, and again, it's not that it was terrible. It was just like I said, if it happens for a while.
Once Drew came out, it was like a tale of two rumbles.
Right. It kicked into a second Rumble.
You know, and I've been saying for weeks, McIntyre's the sleeper pick, and I came so fucking close to putting him in the pick, and I didn't, and I'm kicking myself.
I chose him.
Yeah, I almost picked Roman Reigns because Reigns was he was the safe bet, and I think they were going with him up until
he was the last person to be eliminated too.
Always, because people hate it, and I didn't. Everybody reacts the same way. Oh God, Roman's. It's down to somebody else and Roman. He's just gonna win, and everybody starts booing, and then finally he
but
gets.
Just the moment that Drew got Lesnar out, and Heyman's reaction and Lesnar's reaction. I mean, the whole
that was
the crowd.
The one thing I don't like is that they haven't figured out a way for someone to beat Brock Lesnar aside from giving him a low blow. It seems but
to be fair, Ricochet was getting even for the low blow the week before.
Right, but it was just we've seen the low blow thing is like Seth did it a couple times. Like
Shinsuke was doing it forever.
It's just Shinsuke and AJ way overdid it.
It's become an overdone thing where they're like, we'll just have him give a low blow. So I don't fault it was a nice. It wrapped up, like you said, the story of Brock low blowing Ricochet. So Ricochet got him one back, but I don't know.
I also did the New Day and Ray for a second, teaming up just to, because they all had beef with Brock, and that was good storytelling.
Oh God! And then Brock caught Ray and just launched him. Oh God! And then he did the Big E was down. Brock is listen. He doesn't wrestle quite enough for a lot of people's liking and my liking too. But God damn, the guy is a monster athlete. He did. Like a whisper in the wind off of Big E's back.
Oh, that segment was astonishing.
That was incredible. I mean, the guy's he's incredible. And first of all, Big E, good on him for agreeing to do that, because any other guy, Brock would have just broken their spine and they would have been dead. That was a great. It blew my mind because you think of Brock and you don't think of him taking those kind of risks and stuff. So
and you want to talk about launching somebody, what Drew did to Ricochet, holy shit.
Oh my God.
Ricochet is still landing right now.
They whirly birded him, but he freaking whirly birds, and Ricochet is trying to land on his feet. And I'm like, you're gonna tear your knees up. Don't land on your feet. Take that lay out, man. Oh my God. I thought they were gonna have to pick Ricochet up in pieces after that.
Drew catapulted that dude. It was incredible.
It was like Drew just finished eating a hamburger and was throwing the wrapper away over his shoulder. He was like, what? Ridiculous. Of course, the big return that everybody's talking about, because in you get that middle of the Rumble lull. Although this year it wasn't as long because of the Brock segment, but Drew came out and he started asserting his dominance. There was the stare off between him and Lesnar. Lesnar sold it great. He took his time leaving. He sold and that's the other thing. Brock always sells when he wants to make an opponent look good. He sells for their offense and makes it look like the shit actually hurt.
Yep.
So I give him a lot of credit. He went out there and he's the big beast, undefeated, whatever, win streak things, all that. He goes out and he still sells and makes Drew's offense look good. And that's all you needed. Drew kicked the shit out of Brock. Brock goes, yeah, that didn't feel good. That's the match right there. That's all you needed to build that match.
And with the exception of Ricochet getting eliminated, they didn't take their eyes off each other, Drew and Brock.
Right. No, that was great. And then we get to Edge returning.
That pop, holy crap.
Oh, and even again, we were kind of half expecting it because the rumor was out there, but he's, they're always going to say they're not coming back.
Right.
That's just what it is. But and this is another Daniel Bryan situation. Maybe Paige is next. She's kind of teasing that maybe she's going to try and get the same procedure and make a comeback of her own, which would be nice. But Edge's situation was so severe, spinal stenosis, etc. They call it a triple fusion. So they had to fuse one above. I guess it was one above and one below, or the two malfunctioning to the one that's good below it or above. Either way, this is not like going out and getting your appendix removed or something. This is a major fucking spinal surgery. So the idea that 3,219 days after retiring, Edge makes his return at the Royal Rumble. That's amazing. Edge was my favorite wrestler, which there was a tough point being an Edge fan because he kept losing to Cena all the time. Finally, they got him over but then he started losing to The Undertaker. He was on SmackDown. There was just
He
a
looked
point
good,
where
though. He looked good. I mean, listen, it's
good.
been 9 years or whatever, but he looked fucking great. He made it to the Final Four. It's so cool, to see him come back. And, I hope it's for a while. It was actually funny because there was a moment when Randy is looking him up and down, and you could see Randy's mouth, and he goes, "Man, you look fucking great, bro." So it was a cool moment. But yeah, so that was cool. I thought it was booked well. The Final Four was right, and you know what? The McIntyre was the right choice. I think that was a great pick. Talk about a guy that earned it. The chosen one is finally chosen.
Yeah, I don't know where they could have gone because, again, if Roman Reigns, and he's only one. The funny thing is, we talk about this every year. Roman Reigns has only won one Royal Rumble, and it was the one that everybody shit on, and The Rock had to come out and raise his hand,
help,
and nobody gave a shit. Like, it was just. So again, that's still I guess it's still fresh in people's minds because anytime it seems like Reigns is close to winning the Royal Rumble, the boo birds come back out and people start booing. And again, you don't want to boo Roman Reigns after all he's been through. And it's really not Roman Reigns. It's the way that they book Roman Reigns. So
it's whoever they want to drive the train. That's really what it comes down to.
Yeah.
But they made the right choice. It was a great match.
Yeah. You had to do something different. We're past the point of Hulk Hogan winning 2 Rumbles and Stone Cold winning 3 Rumbles and all that. Like, we're past that. We need keep that, separate that from the current Royal Rumble and have some new blood in there. And if it doesn't work out, it doesn't work out. But with a guy like Drew, big guy, good look, he can talk. He's the total package.
He can do face. He can do heel.
Yeah, so it's not a bad bet to bring that guy in as the Rumble winner. It is just it's strange to think that he was this skinny, lanky kid, the chosen one. Vince McMahon. He would lose matches, and then Vince McMahon would reverse the decision on SmackDown. Like, all this weird stuff would happen, and then he was in the 3-man band, and then they fired him. And he decided to go back on the indies and put some work in and really reinvent himself and get a new look and change the way he wrestled. Like, he went through a complete transformation over the last 5 or 6 years to come back and be given this gigantic opportunity to not only win the Royal Rumble, but then to be in one of the main events of WrestleMania.
And he's killing it right now. He really is. And I like the face turn. I do.
Yeah, they did they added the countdown to the Claymore. For those of you not in the know, a Claymore is a sword, big broadsword, but also is the name of proximity mines, which if you played Call of Duty or any of the other games, first-person shooters like that, a Claymore is a mine. So it's almost like he's counting down 3, 2, 1, like the mine's about to explode, which is pretty good because then he hits him with the thing. And It's not bad. It's not bad. They're as long as
That
they
one
don't.
to Brock was the Claymore heard around the world.
Yeah, and as long as they don't fuck it up, like I thought they were gonna fuck it up Monday night, and we'll transition into Raw because Monday night opened up with Drew McIntyre.
Great promo.
Claymore party. The OC comes out, and you're like, oh yeah, the OC's gonna get their shit pushed in, and sure as shit, they got their shit pushed in. I don't know. I think that I thought the promo was good. The match was handicap matches or whatever anyway. But the important thing is they seem to be going all in on the idea of Drew McIntyre, at least until WrestleMania, because we don't know what's going to happen with the finish of the match. But they're going all in on the idea that
He could be the guy.
he can be a main eventer. And
Right.
And let's hope that they don't turn on him like they did Seth. And Seth brought that up later on.
yeah, well, listen, as long as they have to learn, and it's not Seth again. It's the same thing.
No, yeah, it wasn't. It was the way.
Right. They killed as soon as they put Seth in that Hell in a Cell and did that finish. He was done.
Yep.
He was done.
Yeah, because up until that, he was fine.
Right. I still didn't like that they had to have him beat Brock twice. That doesn't make any sense to me. Seth Rollins shouldn't beat Brock Lesnar twice. But anyway, they had him beat Brock twice and do the same kind of, oh, is he going to win the title? Isn't he? And he wins it twice. But anyway, they killed him with that Hell in a Cell finish. And as long as they don't do the same thing with Drew, you can ride this wave for a little while. And again, he doesn't have to be Stone Cold Steve Austin or The Rock, but he can be a guy that you can rely on to be in the main event long term. Cycle him in, cycle him out, rather than it always being Seth Rollins, rather than it always being Roman Reigns. You know, it's good to cycle in somebody fresh to get new matchups and new opportunities to build a top talent. So I absolutely approve. Drew McIntyre was the choice. And it's so funny, like we said, we were thinking he was a dark horse to win it. And then it just seemed more and more as we closed in on it that he was the guy and they're going with it.
Yeah, it was the right call.
Yeah.
So Raw opened up with his, that whole deal. That was great. It was a great way to kick it off. What were your thoughts overall for the entire show? I actually thought it was pretty good. I liked the way it flowed. I always enjoy the Kevin Owens and Joe and, all that stuff. And
Joe might have a concussion, they're saying.
Yeah, that kind of sucks.
AJ separated his shoulder on that spear from Edge.
Did he?
Yeah, but it's not like a full tear. It was a shoulder separation, so they're unsure of the timeline for, whether or not it's a severe injury or not. It just happened anyway. So, but he did the spear cell where you kind of do like a backflip while you're getting speared, and he just landed on his shoulder, and it was. I was like, oh, that's a rough landing, and the next thing you know, he gets eliminated from the Rumble. I'm like, oh, that was a real bad landing, but not Edge.
I like that they made us wait until the end for Edge, and then that whole thing.
Yeah, number 21 was a good sweet spot for it because it wasn't. If he came out at like 15 or 16, it would have been he would have been in there a little too long. 21's like the perfect number to kind of slide into the final four and maybe have a chance to win, but also have.
I meant more about Raw.
Oh, Raw. Oh God, Raw. Every time they played this music, I looked up. It was like they were like, "Come on, guys,
Well, you had to know that was gonna be the.
It was gonna be the last segment,
right? Of course.
And did it deliver or what? Holy shit!
Well, I mean, listen, Edge was.
I don't know if we're skipping ahead, but
I mean, listen, Raw was for me, Raw was a 2-segment show. It was Drew's promo and then Edge's promo. In the middle part was fine, but if any of it went missing, I'm not going to cry myself.
Yeah, I mean, there was nothing terrible about
They had Mojo Rawley introduce Riddick Moss. And this was in like the 10 o'clock hour right before Edge came out. Like, who gives a shit? But yeah, no, I think that Edge was what everybody was waiting for. They could have, just had Otis and Tucker and the Street Profits out there dancing for 2.5 hours and then put Edge out there, and people still would have watched because they wanted to see what Edge said.
Well, Edge's promo, as always, was phenomenal. The interaction with the crowd, of course, was great. Orton. So that entire segment was fantastic.
Yeah.
And I really, really got excited for a potential Rated RKO reunion.
Right.
But once again, we have another heel turn with Randy Orton. He just turned face like 10 minutes ago. Now he's a heel again. But so I guess Edge's first feud back is going to be with Orton.
Yeah.
It was a great segment, though.
The one thing that I thought was a little, and they do this all the time, and I shouldn't be surprised. It was a little tasteless, tacky, whatever you want to call it, that Edge, like, they immediately go after Edge's neck, and he's twitching like he's paralyzed. Like, it was just like, okay, we get it. He came back from a neck injury. They did the same thing with Daniel Bryan, where they went after his head and his neck, and it was just like, it's kind of like exploitative, I guess.
They've been doing it ever since Austin did it to Pillman with the leg.
Yeah, it's just like, I get it. He came back from a neck injury, but do we have to, like...
That's what they do, though.
Yeah.
I did like the tease, though, where he put his head in the chair and then he took it away and then he left and then he came back and then...
The concerto was the perfect thing for people who've been watching. I know there are kids out there that have no idea what the fuck any of that was about.
Right.
But it was a nice tie, because they mentioned the Rated RKO thing. They mentioned how they were together. They showed when they were doing the Edge kind of career stuff, they focused on that. They had a segment on that. The concerto thing was what they were doing at the time. They did it to Flair. They were doing it to DX. That was how they took people out. They were doing the one-man concerto thing, and it all tied back into, it was almost like,
Poetic justice kind of thing.
Yeah.
Loop back around 10 or 11 years. Yeah.
How funny would it be if Orton comes out next week and says, my IED is acting up again?
He kind of alluded to that.
Yeah, he did.
Well, because you saw him talking to himself.
Yeah.
He hears voices in his head. Yeah. And it's interesting that he can do this so effortlessly. Randy Orton is another guy who's just, he's great, but he's, I don't want to say lazy or unmotivated, but he picks and chooses when he wants to turn it on, because it's so easy for him to do. He can just turn it on when he wants to turn it on. And he was on last night. I mean,
and to think he did the complete opposite against AJ a few weeks ago. In that segment with pretending to retire and that whole
right, yeah.
Orton is fucking brilliant.
Listen, Orton's incredible. I mean, he really is. He's so good, heel or face. I mean, he's just great. But it was just kind of disappointing because, I mean, listen, it did what it was meant to do, because I was bummed. It was kind of like I really wanted to see Rated RKO. And listen, that doesn't mean we still eventually won't see it during this run. But
because I guess the thing was, it would have been a little too predictable if they teamed up. Rated RKO wins a couple matches, they get a title shot for the tag team championships, and then Randy Orton turns on him. Then I guess that would be a little too standard pro wrestling, or like really expected, because you'd kind of see it. You'd see the handwriting on the wall after they wrestled 2 or 3 of those. You go, okay, one guy's going to turn on the other, and that's going to be the WrestleMania match, because it's February now, and we've got to do something like that.
Right.
So I guess, we got it out of the way. And you're right. It's we got a little bit of a Rated RKO reunion during the Rumble.
We did.
Then they're going to wrestle against each other at WrestleMania. And who's to say by SummerSlam they won't have patched things up, and you've got them against whoever. The OC, go out there and have them lose again, for Christ's sake.
Yeah, that's crazy.
But I do like. I mean, the bottom line is Edge is back, and the speculation is he's got a 3-year contract. I'm not expecting him to wrestle every single week. That would be irresponsible to assume of a 46-year-old person. But for him to be present and cut promos, wrestle a match once a month at a big pay-per-view, whatever.
But you know what, too, though? You could see him in a lot of, like, tag team matches or just cutting in backstage segments or promos. So he'll be around. And at the end of the day, he's back. He's on the roster, active roster, which is awesome. It's so great to see. We got him back. We got John Morrison. We got MVP. So we're off to a good start. And, it's just a good time in the wrestling business. You had, don't forget, too, we had AEW, the Jericho Cruise.
Oh, that cruise was fantastic.
If you get a chance, go see some of the videos that are circling around online. It looks like it's a blast.
I want to go.
I want to go.
I really would. I know it's probably, I've never been on a cruise. I don't know what they cost, but it's probably fairly expensive.
I go on a lot of cruises, but it's and they're not that terrible. We can talk, but yeah, man, that was cool. So you got AEW doing big things right now still. NXT, Keith Lee, that was a great match
American champ
to win the North American title. Just things are good right now.
Yeah, Worlds Collide was incredible.
Oh yeah, Worlds Collide was good.
NWA had Hard Times. That was very good.
Hard Times was a fun show.
And now we are officially on the road to WrestleMania.
Yes.
And it's fun because the speculation comes in and the road to WrestleMania and all that. It's awesome.
Yeah, we're definitely there's a lot of, because there's open spots. Charlotte hasn't committed to who she's challenging,
which I like.
Right, it's probably going to be Becky, but we'll it's good to keep it open. Or it could be really. I mean, they could go any direction with it. I don't think they're going to go with Bayley, but that one's open. Drew is committed to Brock, which is fine. That's absolutely the match you'd want to see. Bray needs an opponent. It's probably going to be Roman Reigns.
Yay.
Or it could be Daniel Bryan, or it could be a triple threat between the three of them. But it's probably going to be Roman Reigns. We got to figure out something for the Kabuki Warriors, because there really needs to be a tag team.
Is Ronda Rousey coming back? Because she didn't come back at the Rumble, so that's another variable. Is Taker going to be around? Is Sting going to be around? Those were rumors, too. As usual, this time of year, that rumor starts again. But it is out there.
The rumor now is Sting is going to work that Saudi Arabia show that's coming up in the 27th of February. But again, it's a rumor.
If he works Taker there, I'm going to be pissed.
Yeah, that would be kind of a waste. But it would be maybe if they use
that. The match should have happened at Mania 31.
I can't believe we're still talking about it. Like, this was it was such a layup for. And for 31 was what, San Francisco or San Diego, whatever. Was it California? Because 30 was New Orleans.
Yeah, I think it was California.
30 was New Orleans, where Taker lost to Brock. And then the next year, he wrestled Bray Wyatt. And Bray Wyatt had the zombie scarecrows in his entrance, which is great, but it was just predictable. It's like, Undertaker's not losing to Bray Wyatt right after losing to Brock Lesnar last year. It just wasn't happening.
Right.
So... yeah, it would be nice to have if the Undertaker's up for wrestling like that, it'd be interesting to throw somebody like Sting in there. Listen, they're not, as fans, if you've watched Undertaker and you've watched Sting, you know how old they are. It's not a surprise. We know that the match isn't going to be a 30-minute bell-to-bell class.
We've been watching them both for 30 years, over 30 years.
Yeah, the entrances, first of all, the entrances alone will be worth it. And the entrance
absolutely, and the stare down
for the length of the match, and the match is going to go 5 minutes, and I don't care if the match goes 5 minutes. The Brock Lesnar and Goldberg wrestled for 5 minutes, and it was great for 5 minutes. If you had Goldberg wrestle for any longer, it gets dicey. But that 5 minutes was fucking great.
Especially
in Orlando.
In that heat. Yeah, you're
right. But that's the other thing, that the Undertaker Goldberg match was too long for both of those guys. They didn't need to go out there and do all that shit. So maybe with a little bit of...
And there were also some injuries during that.
There were some injuries.
Very early on, too. So.
That affected it.
Yeah.
And on that note, it is the top of the hour, boys.
Oh,
that's right.
Man, we managed to get all our shit in this week. That's pretty good. So You should follow Tag Me a Date to keep up with the redesign and relaunch of the website. Follow us on social media at Tag Me a Date, no spaces. Tag Me a Date. It's all one word. Ooh, excuse me. You'll find us on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and right here on YouTube. So go to youtube.com and in the search bar type Tag Me a Date. Again, all one word. You'll find our channel where you can subscribe, hit the bell to get your notifications. Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter, or you can just hit the follow button or the like button there, and you'll get our updates on those platforms. If you are listening to the podcast, you can go to our, again, you just search, it's all under the same username, Tag Me a Date, Stitcher, Spotify, SoundCloud, Apple Podcasts, and Google Play Podcast Store. We broadcast live on YouTube Tuesdays, 7 p.m. on Eastern Time. I believe we also are streaming on Twitch as well. And again, is that also at Tag Me a Date, or is that your
That's Ask the War Report, or that's the War Report.
The War Report on Twitch. So if you prefer streaming it on Twitch, you can go to Twitch. If you prefer YouTube, you go to YouTube. Either way, it streams at the exact same time, 7 p.m. on Eastern Time, Tuesday evenings. And if you'd like to go back and watch a prior episode, you just go back to our YouTube channel. If, again, you want to listen to a prior episode audio-wise, just go to those audio platforms. Search for Tag Me a Date. Search for The War Report. You'll find us. You'll see our little icon. We're there. And we'll be here again next week, next Tuesday, for another edition of The War Report, live 7 p.m. on Eastern Time, so adjust your clocks as necessary. And did everybody drop out? Oh, no, just Eric dropped out. Okay. Yeah. Well, that'll do it. It's 8:01. I was like, wait a minute. Did everybody drop out and I'm talking to myself? But that would be really weird. I'm just going to sit here and bullshit and then not notice. But that's it. We'll be back next week, Tuesday, 7 p.m. Eastern Time on YouTube and Twitch. We'll see you there.